impossible dilemma. See her continue in almost irremediable pain, or take the terrible burden as her parent to end that suffering by ending her life.
1993, a landmark for Canada, but with it came an extraordinary case. There lived a man named Robert Latimer, a farmer who found himself stuck in a horrid case. This story centers around his daughter, Tracy Latimer, who had cerebral palsy, a severe neurological condition that left her in a state of suffering and immobility.
During Tracy's birth in 1980, she suffered from a anoxic brain injury in a hospital in North Battleford, Saskatchewan. Due to it, she was diagnosed with cerebral palsy and was in need of many surgeries. Unable to bear the sight of his daughter's agony, Robert Latimer made the choice to end Tracy's life in a painless fashion to help her daughter's pain. In October 1993, he placed her in the family truck and filled the cab with carbon monoxide fumes, resulting in her death.
Though the case was not about mercy killing or the morality of what Robert Latimer did to prove his innocence, it brought up questions if euthanasia should be made legal, especially from the public, which of the majority was siding with Latimer, believing that his actions were ethical. The case was questioning if the original court punishment being a life sentence with 10 years of no parole, the minimum punishment for second-degree murder, was violating Section 12 of the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, which is cruel and unusual punishment. If Latimer were to get constitutional exemption for his sentence, it would set precedent to other people that have committed similar crimes for moral reasons, and could rewrite the punishment for second-degree murder in criminal law.
In our opinion, in the case of R.V. Latimer, the decision to hand Robert Latimer a life sentence with no parole eligibility for 10 years was a fair punishment and did not violate Section 12 of the Charter. Robert Latimer's appeal to consider defensive necessity was rightfully dismissed by the jury, as we believe that the three mandatory elements within the defensive necessity were not met in this case. Robert himself was in no harm or danger, nor did his daughter's upcoming surgeries show any threat to her life. Robert Latimer's decision to end his daughter's life was also not the only option, as medical treatment was available.
Several issues occurred in the Latimer's case regarding the criminal law code. Latimer taking Tracy's life resulted in Canadian government stating that he committed an act of murder and violated the criminal code. The fundamental violations were Section 7 and 12 of the Charter of Rights and Freedom, as well as Section 241B of the Criminal Code. Section 7 was violated because it protects the right to life, liberty, and security of the person. Section 241B was violated because it prohibits euthanasia. Section 12 was violated because it prohibits cruel and unusual treatment or punishment. Latimer's defense argued that his actions were justified because of his morals and obligations towards his suffering daughter, challenging the constitutionality of 241B under Section 7 of the Charter. The case shows up the profound tension between Charter's protection of individual rights and the government's duty to uphold the rule of law, resulting in a criminal case rather than a civil case, as it caused the violation of criminal statutes.
In the case of R.V. Latimer, the outcome was that the accused was convicted of second-degree murder in 1994. Afterwards, they were brought to the Saskatchewan Court of Appeals, who denied the case and upheld the original verdict. The public's backlash made the Supreme Court of Canada order a new trial because they were led to believe that the trial judge was tampering with the jury. Though the sympathetic judge sentenced him to 1 year of imprisonment, following with 1 year of parole, the Saskatchewan Court of Appeal and the Supreme Court of Canada upheld the original decision. The case went through a final appeal in the Supreme Court of Canada, and ultimately Robert Latimer's sentence was upheld to the original decision. His legal team argued that the mandatory minimum of a life sentence with 10 years of no parole was too harsh in his circumstances. He was later granted parole in 2007 after serving a portion of his sentence.